Great. All right. We have our host this week, which is Professor Youngjin Yu from Case Western University. And we are talking about cities' mental and social health challenges. I've just read something really interesting that says that there's a 40% higher risk of depression in cities compared to rural areas. That's a really interesting fact. What could be the reason for this?
Well, I mean, I guess, depression can come from many different reasons or sources. It could be just, the natural environment that we are in, the physical environment is a little bit more depressing for certain people. You're surrounded by nature, you get to relax a little bit. I mean, we all enjoy, even the city people, find themselves more relaxed and enjoying themselves when they are in the nature, right? So I think that's one big part, and then there is also the potential of, the world there is, I guess, more less competitive, and then maybe you're more surrounded by people that you know all the times. But when I think about these statistics, it reminds me the ontological security that Anthony Giddens talks about when he talks about modern society. So he compare the traditional society and modern society, and traditional society is that you walk out of the door and you are surrounded immediately by a familiar settings, familiar people, familiar roads, and so you always feel safe, and therefore you don't necessarily try to compete or compare yourself with others, or trying to scan your environments all the times. On the other hand, when you are in the city, what he talks about is modern society, the modernity. It means that you are disconnected from this, radically from your familiar setting. So as I mentioned that, I was in London last week, and my familiar milieu was completely disrupted, and I was surrounded by strangers all the times. And and someone approaches me, I kind of like, I feel like I have to be on guard for no good reasons other than that I'm not familiar in that setting. So I think that's one possibility is, we are living in a situation where we have to be always on guard. We have to therefore put up best outlook out externally, and that also leads us to be more competitive, in the sense we're constantly comparing ourselves with others. So this leads me to think about another statistics that we all know, that and Facebook recently got busted with this by sitting on their own research, that Instagram and active use of social media tends to make teens more depressed. And I think it is the same kind of scenario where it's densely connected. We are surrounded by a large number of people that we are not necessarily familiar with, and then I always need to put out my best outlook, best performance, and that's very taxing. And then when there is a slight miscue or mistake, or some kind of comparison that doesn't put me on the top of the comparison, the chart could shake that person's internal security and then emotional stability, I guess. So I think those are some of the potential challenges of living in cities.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are great points. And with so many people actually moving to the cities, I mean, probably in Corona times, people have been moving out of the city as well, but jobs are in the cities. So what can be done to kind of go against these mental and social challenges?
I mean, I think recognizing these mental, social health issues are indeed a problem, and something that we should confront as a society. I think is a great first step. Number two, I think recognizing that these mental, social issues, health issues, are not the failure symptom of a failure of that individual. So removing the stigma from the person, I think, is another important step. You know, people hide their mental issues, emotional issues, social issues, because we created a stigma around them. So then they hide it, and then it gets even worse. And then to the extent that there is no point of return. I was talking to the and last week we did this conference at X Lab, and one of the keynote speakers was a innovation senior VP for innovation at Purina, one of the Nestle's brands for pet product. And she said, cats and all pets, but in cats in particular, are very good at hiding their illness. It is part of their survival instincts. If they are seen weak, the pack can abandon them, and then the other animals, predators, can kill them. So it is their, survival instinct to hide the fact that they are ill. So by the time owners recognize these cats are ill, the disease has been progressed so far that you cannot really treat them. And so they said it is very important to build a early warning system. So what they have is that a connected cat litter, which will then sense slight small changes in their behavior, which indicates some of the failures, kidney and liver failures that these cats may develop. So you may wonder what am I talking about? When you're talking about mental health and social health, and then talking about connected cat litter box. I think it is in a way the same problem where those of us who may have some challenges in our emotional and mental health or social health, our instinct is to hide it. Our instinct is to show off as a healthy person, and I'm fine outside, but inside we're crying, and so I think what can be done is that if we can create a system that can provide an early warning to the person themselves and to their trusted network, and even to a responsible providers in a privacy preserving and safe way, so that we could check up on those folks. I think those are important things that we need to think about, and how we might help. I mean, if you're a teacher in grade schools, if you're teenage students, you may not notice, but if their social media postings indicate some of the subtle changes, or maybe their physical activities may change in subtle way, or maybe even their makeup changes in subtle way. I mean, these are all the cues we could pick up, but in a way that we do not have means to monitor these subtle changes in a scalable way to provide early enough intervention. So I hope that we could work on some of those opportunities.
That sounds really great. So what exactly could be the human version of the litter box?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think the human version of litter box could be in the form of smartphone. Smartphone is packed with so many sensors.
Yeah.
It is the first thing that we touch when we wake up. and it is the last thing that we touch when we go to bed. So literally, smartphone nowadays is the thing that knows when we are up and when we are out, you know, and throughout the day, it is with us pretty much 24/7. So I think smartphone probably knows a lot about us, more than you think, more than I think. Um, one of the companies that I worked with, I will not name. They make mobile phones. There are a few. So they were in healthcare business, or at least just like any other big tech companies. They're trying to break into the healthcare. What everybody was trying to work on was to create a active app that interact with users. I think about 3 or 4 years ago, it dawned on them that we don't actually need to do anything if we would just collect this data based on the way we hold the phone, the way we speak to the phone, the way how often we use the phone, etc., etc. A lot of ailment that we have or develop could be detected, and so that was the direction that they started taking. Like just listening to your voice when you talk to your friends and family over the phone.
Oh,
They
wow.
can detect slight changes in the voice, hoarseness. You could detect something is happening in your vocal cord or your respiratory system. I mean, they argue that they don't even actually need a biometric password and a facial identity management system, because the way we pick up the phone and hold it, if we want to build an algorithm, there is a certain behavioral signature that you and I generate when we just pick up the phone. It's very peculiar, and it's very consistent. So by just letting the phone collect that kind of like a very, very minute detail, physical data, and then run algorithm on the edge, we don't even need to see your face. We know it is you, or we know it is not you, to a degree. Same thing, we could tell a lot about, oh, Youngjin, this is not the way Youngjin normally behaves in the morning, weekday. Something's going on here, right? Or your text message, or the way you compose your email. We could, on the fly, I think we could do a lot of those things, detecting things. So that's one thing. I think we also know a lot about the early or determinants of those behaviors. For example, like particularly for youth, excessive use of social media is a contributor of their decline of their self-esteem and then depression. So can we actually do some sort of like algorithm? It's very simple one, like, hey, you've been on this too long. Maybe you should wind down a little bit, or deliberately slow down the social media delivery so that they will be frustrated and not use it anymore, or something like that. I think there's a lot we could do with the phone itself. And given our interest of data ownership and privacy, I think the biggest challenge and the market failure right now in the larger mainstream market is the lack of provision of safe and private privacy preserving and respecting development environment, where the people who can build, the technologists who could build this type of early warning systems wouldn't be on the front page of New York Times as someone who's violating other people's privacy because we're trying to do good thing, but that's one of the nightmares of many of these tech people, right? Being accused of, invading other people's privacy.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we would have this algorithm or this app or using the phone in this way, how could a city use that to improve mental and social health in their cities, create saner and happier cities? What could be the
Right.
step, and how could the city?
I think that's an interesting question. I mean, I think now we talked about sort of humanistic insights. Then we talked about sort of technology features. Now I think we are talking about business model and sustainability of such a service provisions. And then
Hmm.
specifically, what's the role of city? One thing that city may do is some form of a public-private partnership to endorse certain tools and like a provide say for example like certain communities you know would be able to become eligible to use such tools, or city could create its app that might be picked up by the citizens. So I think that could be one. Although I'm not really sure if a city should be in the business of creating and maintaining such software, right? Because it's not necessarily in the best interest of the city nor in their best capability. So I probably would work with private sector, digital sort of native companies to build such things and providing it. The other role that city can play is that perhaps city can work with particularly for K to 12 um, with local schools, school districts to have this type of tools made available to the students and teachers, so that the teachers could discreetly help kids without knowing exactly what's going on, but you may get an certain signal that so and so may need your help, so and so may need a break, so and so may need to be sent home early, need some support from their friends. You don't necessarily need to say, oh, so and so seems to be posting really negative image of herself on social media, or look at this tweet, right? and so forth. So that probably is not a good idea. Or this boy or girl is spending way too much time on game and so on. So those are not necessarily good ideas, but maybe there's a way that we could create a clear signal to the responsible adults to offer help in a discreet way. I think that could be one possibility. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think that cities can do?
Yeah, I think maybe just like you said, maybe the city has to play a more passive role in this. So make sure they provide more green space. They have some targeted social services. They create pro-social places where people can come as a come together a community, and just make sure that all this is available. And then maybe work together with a private company to advertise those spaces to them, right? So they see that
Yeah.
they're feeling great. Um,
Teresa, you gave me an idea.
Oh, good.
So city can turn itself into a augmented reality community game platform.
Mhm.
So what I mean by that is that when Pokemon Go came out, a friend of mine studied the reduction of depression. So the Pokemon Go did not go to every city at the same time. So it allowed them to study the impact of uh, Pokemon Go on mental health. The theory behind it is that Pokemon Go induces people to go out and walk around the city or park to discover this monsters, right? When you go out and interact in the nature, this actually, the second part is very well established in psychology, mental health literature. Apparently, if you spend more time outdoor and walk on a regular basis, the depression goes down. So with that two data points in mind, they hypothesized if the cities that have Pokemon Go would have lower mental health problem. The way they measure the mental health problem is Google keyword search in the city during the time period. So anything that is related to the keywords that are indicating that the searcher is going through some mental health issues or correlated with the timing of the entry of Pokemon Go. And voila, they found a very significant impact of Pokemon Go in the reduction of mental health issues. So take that. So a friend of mine who's a game designer in Philly, he's a professor at Drexel University, and he has been working on a citywide game, outdoor game. It's a mobile phone game that, you could make a Squid Game without killing anybody, but it's like a real world outdoor activities, right? So there are a lot. So what he was doing is that, like, can we create a game city-wise so that the children should come out and play together, but it is interacting with the city and nature and park. I think, if a city would come out and say, hey, we will provide anything that you want to enable that platform, and then we'll, encourage the adoption of such a thing. It'll be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea. I hope that will be picked up on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, think about ways in which that kids can go out and they will discover 10 different games that they can play outdoor with people, community, folks that they never met before. They could travel to another city, or they could team up with their friends in the neighbor and then compete with other kids from another city, another neighbor town, another next neighborhoods, and then but the rule is that it has to be all outdoor. So a lot of old games that we used to play can be reinterpreted and reenacted with the use of location based mobile phone and internet and cloud, and then we could actually create a really fantastic environment. So in fact, I should contact him and ask him to see if he wants to come and speak at the hackathon.
Yeah, that would be great.
He's actually I think I only know one person who's on the Guinness book. He's on the Guinness book by creating the world's largest Tetris in the world. So he created an outdoor Tetris game that you can play from 2 miles away. It has big building wall with LCD light bulbs. So he just saw that and he said in his totally creative and just outrageously imaginative mind, he saw a gigantic Tetris game board, and so he turned the building into a Tetris board, and then he implemented it, and then he also implemented Pong game. So people would stand outdoor with a controller and then play Pong game with one another. So, but his big project was inner city game in Philly to get people come out and build a trust among neighbors and keep kids engaged in physical activities and so on. So that's yeah.
That would be really cool to have him on. And yeah, when you said all this, even something simple like a treasure hunt around the city that is made from the city of Illyria.
Absolutely, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's not too hard to build treasure hunt, location-based treasure hunt, and and then city and the local communities could donate rewards to the kids and then rewards doesn't have to be monetary. Rewards could be, you get to talk to grandma on that corner, and she could tell you all kinds of fun stories, and so forth. And so I think that would be fun.
Absolutely. I think that's a great project. We definitely have to add that to the ideas portal.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
All right.
Great.
Well, it looks like I think we could wrap up this session. At least we generated one good idea.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Teresa, and thank you, Isadora.
Thank you, Ying. It was
All
very
right.
good.
All
All
right.
right. Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.